Hi everyone, this is the lesson for ESL 3 for Friday, April 24th, and let's get started. Today we're going to be identifying the parts of the plot in the interlopers. So on Wednesday you should have read this entire story, making connections while you read, and you're going to be reviewing that story today. It's necessary that we understand this story completely because the writing assignment is connected to the story. So let's review plot. We've definitely talked about plot before, earlier in the year when we read The Good Samaritan, and you've probably seen this diagram many times with me, Mrs. Soto, in your English classes, or in ESL 2. So let's review. The first part of the plot is called the exposition. That's where we're first getting introduced to everything in the story. We're learning who the characters are, what the setting is, and any background information that we need to know in order to understand what will happen in the story. Next, we have the rising action. That's when we get first introduced to that conflict. What is the big problem in the story? And during this part, this conflict keeps getting worse and worse. There's more and more obstacles presented, more and more drama occurring. At the top of that mountain is the climax, and that's the turning point in the story. So that's when it's an explosive moment, and a character has to really make a huge decision on how to act. This is when the character is going to show that they have changed. Now, if you notice, most of the story should be in the rising action. Usually the climax comes towards the end of a story. So a lot of the story is taking place in this part of the story. But there's still usually a short amount of story to come after the climax. And that's called the falling action. That's when things are starting to get better. The conflict is starting to get better. Now are seeing that main character has changed. And lastly, we have that resolution where everything's kind of tied up. The problem has been solved and we are done with it. Now, in some stories, we don't have these things. Think about horror movies that you've watched where all of a sudden something really exciting and crazy happens, and then boom, the movie ends right there. Some stories actually end at the climax because they want you to worry about what's going to happen to the characters. It makes us feel uncomfortable if things aren't solved at the end. So keep that in mind today. If you still need a review on the plot parts, you can also watch this video. I'll link it in the model just as another review. Okay? All right, here's what you're doing today. You're going to be identifying each part of the plot of that story, The Interlopers, which is on pages 416 to 423. And the way you're going to be doing that is you're creating a Google Slides presentation to represent each part of the plot. Each part should have a description of what happened, so that should be 2 or 3 sentences. I don't want it to be a very long summary, and an image that you find on Google Images to represent that part of the story. Let me show you what I mean. So, when you go to classwork today, you're going to see that I've already started the PowerPoint for you. So, you're going to click on that. You're going to see plot in the interlopers. Where it says by on this first title page, I would like you to please put your name so that I know who it is from. So first things first, you're going to write your name there. Next, you're going to see that I wrote the exposition for you. Exposition. In the Eastern Carpathian Mountains, there were 2 families who were involved in a feud over a piece of land. The court gave land to Ulrich von Gradowitz's family, but Georg Znaeum and his family still crossed the boundary to hunt. Now, I wanted to find a picture on Google Images to show this boundary. So I found this picture of, I know it takes place in the woods and the mountains, and there's a separation between 2 pieces of land. So I chose that image. If you want to, you can definitely change my image if you don't think it makes sense or is not the best image for the exposition. Another thing I want you to notice is the verb tense I'm using is the past tense. So please make sure in the rest of your slides, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, that you're also using the past tense. So on each slide, this is what you are going to be doing. You are writing your description here and you're pasting your image right here. That's all you're doing for today. And this will help us as we move on to our next assignment for this unit. Please contact me if you have any questions. See you soon.